Why banks reject property development funding and what to do about it. You've spent months, maybe even years, searching. You've finally found the perfect site and development. The numbers look solid and you can already picture the finished development. You take your deal to the bank, feeling confident you've got a winner, and then they hit you with a no. Suddenly, your project is dead in the water and you're left wondering what on earth went wrong. The most frustrating part, the bank rarely gives you the real story. They'll feed you a vague, unhelpful one-liner that will leave you completely confused, right back at square one. And you're not alone. It's incredibly common for new developers to struggle with funding, with many finding it tough to get a yes when they're just starting out. Well, in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on 5 hidden reasons banks are rejecting your development deals. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the exact steps to make sure your next application gets a yes. Firstly, the hidden reasons. The deal itself is flawed. Look, the most common reason for rejection is that the numbers you've presented are just not viable. You've went optimism bias. You don't realize it, but that is being too optimistic about the costs involved, i.e. assuming they're too low, and being too optimistic about the gross development value, assuming that's too high. So you've presented a too optimistic view of what the likely costs and therefore the likely profits are going to be. You might think the deal is a goldmine, but banks use very specific, hard metrics to measure risk. The two big ones are profit on cost and loan to gross development value. Profit on cost is your total estimated profit divided by your total project costs. Most lenders want to see a minimum profit on cost of around 20 to 25%. Yes, minimum 20 to 25%. Think of this as the project's emergency fuel tank. A 20 to 25% margin means you've got a full tank and a spare can in the trunk for the journey ahead. If your numbers show a 15% or less margin, it's like starting a cross-country road trip with half a tank of gas and hoping you don't hit any traffic. The bank knows that one unexpected delay or cost increase could leave you stranded. The second metric is loan to gross development value. This compares the total loan amount to the final completed value of the project. Most major banks cap their lending at around 60 to 65% of GDV. So if you need a loan that's 80% of the final value, that's an immediate red flag. It's like you're asking the bank to put up almost all the money for the deal while you're only putting in a small fraction. They want to see you have significant skin in the game, proving you're just as committed to the project's success as they are. Reason number 2, you're seen as the risk. You, yourself, as the new developer, is the risk. The deal itself is perfect, the site is great, the numbers work, but the bank's problem is with you. This is especially true for first-time developers. Lenders are in the business of managing risk. Imagine you're a scout for a major sports team. You see an athlete with incredible natural talent, but they've never played a single professional game. That's how a bank sees a first-time developer. They'd much rather bet on a seasoned veteran with a proven history of winning championships, i.e. repaying development loans. If you can't show them a portfolio of successful projects, their confidence plummets. It's not personal, it's just a risk calculation. Without a proven track record, they have no proof you can handle a complex multi-million-dollar project. To a bank, unproven is just another word for too risky. So, thirdly, your proposal, your presentation to the bank is an amateur mess. You could have the best deal in the country and a flawless track record, but if you present it in a sloppy, poorly prepared application, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Think of your funding proposal as the architectural blueprint for a skyscraper. If you handed an engineer a rough sketch with missing floor plans and no structural calculations, they wouldn't even consider it. A professional funding proposal is the business plan for your entire development. Lenders expect to see a meticulously detailed breakdown, including a detailed cost analysis with construction costs, professional fees, and a healthy contingency fund of at least 10 to 20%. Yes, 10 to 20%, in addition to the profit margin of 20 to 25%. Why is this? Because if you're looking at a preliminary stage of a development, you haven't got fully designed drawings, you don't know what things are going to come out of the woodwork during the design development process. And so you need to allow for design development contingency. A realistic project timescale with key milestones, architectural drawings, plus all the other consultants, structural, civil, mechanical, electrical, landscaping, lighting consultants, etc. All these drawings will need to be fully coordinated in due course. A rock-solid exit strategy. How will you pay back the loan? Are you selling the completed units or refinancing? You need to present a clear and viable plan. If your proposal is missing these details, or if the numbers look like they were scribbled on the back of a napkin, it just screams amateur. It tells the lender you aren't serious and you haven't done your homework. So, presentation, so important. And fourthly, you may be talking to the wrong lender. This is a classic mistake that trips up so many first-time developers. You walk into your local branch of one of the big four banks, the same one that handles your saving account, assuming they'll be happy to fund your project. In reality, you're completely in the wrong place. High street banks are very risk-averse. Going to a major bank for development finance is like going to your GP for brain surgery. You're just not talking to the right specialist. Their main business is standard home loans, but the complex world of development finance, the world of property finance is huge. There are specialist lenders, private banks, family offices, non-bank lenders, whose entire business is funding projects just like yours. They have the expertise to understand your deal and the flexibility to structure a loan that works. Fifthly, you've picked a problem property. The bank may be rejecting the property itself. For a mainstream lender, certain properties are like a beautiful classic car that doesn't run. They can see the potential, but they have no idea what's wrong under the hood or how much it will cost to fix it. They'd much rather finance a brand new, reliable sedan straight from the factory. So the classic example here is heritage listed buildings in the UK, grade 1, grade 2. They come with strict renovation restrictions from the heritage officer, from English Heritage, possibly from National Trust if they're in control of the property. Costs are often higher, and old buildings are famous for hiding expensive problems. Because of this uncertainty, many mainstream banks won't have a simple policy. They won't touch it until the risky work is done, which of course is useless when you need the money to do the work. So what you need is a 4-step blueprint to getting funded. Okay, so now you know why the bank might have said no, one of those above 5 reasons. Let's go to the good part, what you need to do about it. Here's your first step of the 4-step blueprint to turn that rejection into an approval. Firstly, de-risk the deal. Your first job is to make the project look as safe and predictable as possible. It's like going to the doctor. If you just say, I feel sick, they have to run a dozen tests. But if you walk in with x-rays and test results already in hand, and they say, here's the issue and here is the treatment plan, you've done the diagnostic work for them. Go back to your numbers with a healthy profit on cost of at least 20%. And if you're tackling a complex project like a heritage property, get in front of the risks. Engage specialists and commission surveys up front. By presenting the problems along with a costed plan to solve them, you transform yourself from a risky applicant into a prepared manager. So this de-risking may cost you a lot of money because you've got to invest in the right surveys from the right experts, noise consultant, maybe someone looking at the flood potential. It could be bat surveys, wildlife surveys of different specialist types if you've got wildlife in the garden or in the property around, such as protected species of rodents or snakes, or indeed there is some vegetation, tree protection orders. All of this are things that you need to investigate and get expert advice on. Secondly, you need to build your dream team. If you're light on personal experience, the smartest way to de-risk yourself is to surround yourself with people who have plenty of experience. Think of it like pitching a movie. If you're a first-time director, walk in alone, the studio's hesitant. But if you walk in with an Oscar-winning writer and a famous lead actor, the studio isn't just betting on you anymore. They're betting on the all-star team you've assembled. So your dream team should include, amongst others, a great architect, someone with a proven track record, a reliable contractor, ideally one who can give you a fixed price building contract. Thirdly, a specialist finance broker. This is non-negotiable. They live and breathe the finance market and know exactly how to package your proposal to get a yes. Presenting your project with this team shows the lender that even if you're new, the project is in experienced hands. To help you put together that killer application we've talked about, I've created a funding proposal checklist. It covers every single document and piece of information you need to include to make your project look professional and fundable. The link to download it for free is right in the description below, so feel free to download the list and communicate with us about any issues you've got with your funding application. And also go specialist, not mainstream. Stop wasting your time with the big banks. Your broker will contact you with the right type of lender for your specific project. These could be specialist development lenders. They're finance companies built from the ground up to fund property projects. They get it. They get property development. Bridging lenders. These are great for short-term funding, like snapping up a property at auction. They focus more on the property's value than your personal history. Private lenders and funds. These are often wealthy individuals or family offices looking for property deals. They can be more flexible with unique or complex projects. And then step 4, get creative with your funding. Remember that the main loan doesn't have to cover everything. Think of your total funding as baking a cake. The bank's loan might be the flour, but it's not the whole recipe. You still need the other ingredients, the eggs, the sugar and the butter. Grants, a joint venture partner, or your own cash, or those other essential ingredients. Government programs like heritage grants programs can help fund the riskiest work. Or if you're short on cash, you can bring the deal and a partner with a joint venture partner who brings the equity. This reduces the amount you need to borrow and makes your loan application much stronger. So in conclusion, the bank said no. It was probably because your numbers were a bit wobbly, you looked like a risk, your proposal was a mess, you were talking to the wrong person, or the property itself was too complex. It doesn't matter, because once they get a negative view, they're not going to change their minds. But a rejection is not the end of the road, it's just feedback. By de-risking your deal, building a professional team, targeting the right lenders and getting creative with your funding stack, you absolutely can turn that no into a yes. Getting rejected is a normal part of this business. Don't let it kill your dream. Learn from it, sharpen your approach, and go again with a strategy that's built to win. Have you ever been rejected for development finance? Share your story in the comments below. Let's all learn from one another. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button for more deep dives into the world of property development and finance. And if you have a specific deal you want to get funded, there's a link in the description to book a direct consultation with me and my team. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. If you want to speak to me about anything you've seen in this video or any of the other videos on my YouTube channel, then call me, that's Alan, on 07539141257. From outside the UK, that's +44 7539141257. You can schedule a call with me at calendly.com/AlanJE, or you can simply drop me an email to alan@alpusgroup.com. Cheers for now.